Hi everyone, and welcome to another edition of Coffee with Father James. I've brought back my old favorite, the original Coffee with Father James coffee mug, the Aerobics in Hell. Gary Larson, Far Side, 3 more, 2 more, 1 more, okay, 5 million leg lifts, right leg first. Ready, set, go. So, love the Far Side. I was just talking with Brad, who's operating the camera today, and part of the idea of calling this video Coffee with Father James is that it's an attempt to communicate like important information from kind of, what's going on behind the scenes in a sense, or in many ways what's in my heart, and to do it not in an overly scripted way. And if it comes across that way, it's because it is actually not overly scripted. Sometimes I come up the hill and I'm leaving one meeting and coming into this, and I'm thinking, I've got a set of bullet points of things I'm going to talk about, but exactly what I'm going to say or how I'm going to say it, that it just kind of happens in the moment. So it's not really overly scripted. It's not scripted at all. And I think maybe that's what makes it effective, because I'm really just trying to share what's in my heart. Now, there's a risk with that, of course. It does mean that I might put my foot in my mouth. I'm good at that. I can put my foot in my mouth. I've done that many times before, and it means sometimes I might not say things the best possible way they could be said. But when you go for coffee with a friend, you don't go with a script, right? You speak from your heart. And today I want to speak to you from my heart about an exciting development that I spoke about last week. I said we were in the hiring process for some 2 new staffing positions, office manager and social outreach coordinator. And today I want to introduce the new social outreach coordinator to you. But before I do that, I want to talk a little bit about the vision behind this job, behind this role. In the gospel this weekend, we heard Jesus say, "As the Father has loved me, so I have loved you. Abide in my love." And he says, basically, love one another as I have loved you. I am giving you these commands so that you may love one another. And Father Rob this weekend in his homily asked this question. He started his homily with this question: what does love look like in a parish? A parish that people actually love one another. I mean, that's the starting point, right? In order to love one another, we've got to know each other. You can't love people you don't know. In fact, we might think we love people we don't know. That's why it's so easy to love people we don't know. It's the people we know that are the problem. But real love can't happen unless you're in a relationship. So we need to grow in becoming a parish where people know each other. Everyone can't know everyone, but everyone should know someone or some people, and to grow in becoming that kind of parish. That's why, as Father Rob said, we're venturing out and using a tool like Alpha. It's not just a great evangelistic tool. It helps people get to know each other and love one another. And we've been in our virtual small group twice, and already it's like I'm starting to feel close to these people. It's like I'm looking forward to seeing them tonight, Monday night. So that's how these relationships happen. And yet the love that comes from Jesus within a parish, within a Christian community, is not to be self-contained. It's not that we're just a little happy club of people who love each other. Love by its very nature, you know this, in family life and a marriage, authentic love it can never be contained. It overflows and it flows outward, and that's what the church is meant to be. It's meant to be a community of love that overflows and impacts people on the outside. When I first came to this parish, and I found out that in the North End, Dartmouth, we have what I'm told is the lowest income postal code this side of Montreal. So it's the area of greatest poverty in east of Montreal in our parish boundary. And for many of the parishioners who were not members of the St. Anthony's location, because that's the postal code that is up there, like this might come as a bit of a shock that our new parish now includes this area. So one of the first questions I asked when I got here, and I asked myself, is what does this mean for us? Because the strategy of a parish, of how a parish should function, what a parish should do, has got to be shaped by its context. Well, I've never been in a parish with that situation before. What does this mean for us? And as we looked at the different locations and we asked questions about the future, it's obvious that we've got to have a presence somehow amidst that particular need. I think of a story of St. Paul when he went to Jerusalem after his conversion after his missionary trip to speak with the leaders of the church in Jerusalem. He says in Galatians that Peter and the other leaders approved of his methodology, and the one thing they asked him to do was to be mindful of the poor. And he said, "This I was glad to do." So the church has got to be mindful of the poor. So what does this mean for us? And when I arrived here, there were a lot of activities already taking place at the St. Anthony's location through the parishioners that were there. There was a small food bank, a bit of St. Vincent de Paul ministry. But Father Rob had initiated the House of Hope, the community house for men covering for addiction that's rooted in faith. Father Rob had already been in conversation to get the community chaplaincy over there. We were able to make that happen. Community chaplaincy helped with prisoner reintegration. In the first weeks at the parish, we were approached by another faith community to partner with them in running a faith-based 12-step program that I had used in my previous parish with incredible fruitfulness. And so we said yes to that. And then, as you know, a couple of months later, there was the request from the First Baptist Food Bank to rent our building, to which we said, well, how can we charge you money to serve the poor? That makes no sense. So the answer is no, we're not going to rent you our building, but we're going to let you use our building at no rent, as long as help us to cover the costs, and please let us do it with you. And from there was birthed the North Dartmouth Christian Food Bank. And we've still got a lot of work to do there. There's also the furniture bank run by the Franciscans downstairs in the basement. But in addition to all these things, I can't help but feel that this is just the beginning. And the future lies ahead. I mean, in the past, when parishes did social outreach of some kind or another, we generally did it by ourselves. It was this parish and that parish, and we all did our own things. And I think those days are gone. Like we need to unite together, different parishes, different churches of different traditions, even the church partnering with community groups to make a difference. We can't do this in isolation anymore. So part of the idea behind this location is, imagine if we could mobilize people to do things together. Imagine if we could combine resources. And imagine if we could do it firmly out of our identity as being people of faith. Like, we're not just an NGO. We're not just social workers. The church has something unique to bring to what is ultimately a human problem of human need. And our core belief is that we bring the fullest answer, because it's not just intellectual, it's not just psychological, it's not just physical, it's also spiritual as well. And so we have a role to play as the church to be in that space. And imagine if the activities for that location could grow. Imagine, for instance, if the present church, which is, in the future when COVID is over, there's a divider in the church. Imagine during the week when the church is not being used, that main space could possibly even be developed to be a day shelter for the homeless. And we could continue to have the church as a kind of chapel, a place for prayer. So I think we're just getting started. So it was that kind of vision that resulted in an unexpected donation by a donor outside of our parish. And he said, James, I'd like I want you to use this for the North Dartmouth project and use it however you see fit. And to be honest, I thought that the best way to be able to develop this long term is to hire someone. Not to hire someone, hire the right person. The right person. And we really believe that God had opened a lot of doors. I mean, things just happened too quickly. And how do you explain all of a sudden getting this donation the way we did? And so if we get the right person, then that person can mobilize groups, can help to serve the different community groups that are already working out of that space, can help develop new partnerships, can help develop a strategy, and ultimately, if we only have the money for the first year, then we need someone who can help us to get the funds to keep this as an ongoing project, and that we embark on this adventure while at the same time trying to renew our parish from within. Okay, so we still need to do that because we need to activate our own parishioners so that we can mobilize people to begin to move and serve in these kinds of ministries. We could also, through these activities, hopefully bring people in. And so that was the vision behind this, and we took a bold step. We spoke with the Finance Council, we spoke with the leadership team. Of course, we're still forming the Pastoral Council right now. But we said, let's do this. And we had a number of applications, we did a number of interviews, and we made a job offer, and we've hired a person. And I'm very pleased to tell you today who that person is. The person is perhaps known to actually many of you because she is a former St. Peter's parishioner, has been for quite a number of years, and now a parishioner of Our Lady of Guadalupe Parish. And her name is Jennifer Dean. Now, I know some of you know exactly who I'm talking about, and yes, Dr. David Dean is Jennifer's husband, and so that's who she is. And I have to say, I'm absolutely thrilled with her making this courageous decision. She was working at Chalice as a senior manager in Chalice, and I can only imagine that Chalice is very saddened for her to make this move. But all I can tell you is that, having come to know Jen more and hear about her story, I think this is God's call in her life. There's a clear call. And I can't help but think, I can't think of anyone whose gifts and experience and passions would be more suited to this work. So a bit more about Jen, for those of you who don't know her. She has over a decade in experience in communications, fundraising, and marketing, working for nonprofit organizations. I said that she worked for Chalice Canada and for Mattercare International. She and her now family of 5, so she and David have 3 wonderful daughters. They immigrated from United States and Ireland. Jen is actually originally from Alaska, believe it or not. And she's been involved in faith formation ministry at our parish, very passionate about refugee sponsorship. She worked at that in our parish and also at the diocesan level. She worked for the Archdiocese doing this. And she's organized up to recently Mattercare's biannual conference in Rome for Catholic medical professionals. She's done this since 2013, has extensive experience speaking to parishes, community groups, and public audiences to encourage their participation in living an active faith through outreach opportunities. And like I say, it feels like this is the perfect job made for her. Now, I've talked a little about the North Dartmouth project. In truth, that this initiative is not going to exhaust the work of the social outreach coordinator, because in addition to that, we also have other social outreach activities happening within our parish. We've got a very, very active St. Vincent de Paul. We've got a food bank, a localized food bank here at the St. Peter's location where members take food out to communities. We've got the food program with 3 parish teams who go to Margaret's house for the Feed Others project. And we have the backpack initiative. We've got outreach to people who live in halfway homes. We've got a lot of stuff happening. We already do have a lot of things happening, and her role is to really serve the people who are serving. If you think about that, to help facilitate, to help support, and to help us be more organized and create a plan for how we impact our community in the coming years. So I'd like to say a warm welcome to Jen. She's going to be joining our team. Her first day is going to be Monday, July 5th, because she's got a lot of work to finish off at Chalice before she comes on board. And I'm really, really excited about that. And That's all I'm going to say about that. I have another sip of coffee here. And next week, I'm going to tell you about the person who is going to be coming and joining us and taking the office manager position. So please pray for Jan and the other members of our team who will be joining us, and for the exciting possibilities that lie ahead for us as a parish. Meanwhile, I've talked about how we got funding for 1 year for that position, and to be honest, without that funding, it probably wouldn't have been a step we would have taken at the moment, because the most immediate thing is to strengthen the core, right? We've got to strengthen the core. We've got to strengthen the administrative core, and then we've got to invest in building our parish spiritually. To do all of this, we need, obviously, we can't grow, we can't do these things unless we're financially stable. And so I just want to thank all of you who have made an extra effort to sign up for automated giving, who have gone to Canada Helps or went online. It's obviously that during these times of real lockdown, our income drops. And I'm hoping that this is simple. Well, what we're hoping is that people will make up, please, because, as you can imagine, the cost of things don't drop; they don't go away. And so, thank you for all of those who have made that effort to continue to financially support the parish. And I want you to know that in a couple of weeks from now, I'm going to be addressing the issues of parish finances and the issue of giving. And right now, I'm working with the Finance Council to produce a 12-page booklet that will give oversight financially. It will produce a year-end report from last year, give the budget for this year, and kind of first quarter report, January to March. With it will be other tidbits of information and some reflections that tie in our giving with the mission of the parish. So we are working on that, and it'll be ready to go in a couple of weeks. So thank you for everything. I hope your coffee's not gone cold as you've listened, and let's continue to care for one another and be patient with one another, and remind ourselves why it is that we're going along with this lockdown is for the sake of others. It is a consequence of that call that we heard in the gospel this weekend to love one another. God bless.